Hello and welcome to today's video, and today we're here for another episode of the Racing Debrief. And that's it. Regular season is complete for the NASCAR Cup Series. And what a regular season it was. So let's talk about Darlington and then I'll preview the playoffs. So Darlington, final race, of course, Southern 500. Big race. Everybody wants to win that. One of the crown jewel events. So from the start, it was pretty much dominant from Kyle Larson. You had an early crash with Martin Truex and Ryan Blaney on lap 3. But Martin Truex was able to make it into the playoffs. He really only needed to gain 2 points, and everybody behind him really didn't gain much with Kyle Larson absolutely dominating through stage 1 and 2. A lot of strategy, green flag race. So it was a very good race, but there wasn't much to dive into incident-wise or discussion-wise in that standpoint. Just a lot of good strategy races. If you're into that, which I thought was awesome, then great race to watch. Towards the end of the race, you did have a lot of cautions. Carson Hocevar had a spin, didn't have a flat tire, so he was in 2 crashes. You had a big incident, which really shook up the race with Ty Gibbs crashing, Bubba Wallace crashing. They both got kind of taken out by Josh Berry doing what he does. So you had that incident, which really shook up a lot of the things. Is Bubba Wallace going to make it in? Because he was in a good spot with Chris Buescher for the last 40 laps. They're going back and forth. So, which one of them could make it in? Ty Gibbs was still looking good on points. It got a little more sketchy than it needed to be. But, he made it in to the playoffs, which is super, super exciting. Got the temporary update to the phone screen here. Just advancing the playoffs. Got that for a little bit, so we'll have that for a week or so here. But yeah, just so super cool to see that. Of course, first year really that Ty Gibbs is my number one favorite driver. Obviously rooting for Kevin Harvick throughout the years. Kind of used to seeing your favorite driver make the playoffs and winning races, so. It's been a little interesting, definitely. Honestly, over 2 years now since my favorite driver won a cup race is a weird thing to say. But, yeah, either way, Ty Gibbs is in the playoffs, and look forward to that. As for the finish of the race, brilliant battle between Kyle Busch and Chase Briscoe. So either one of them winning would shake everything up. Again, Truex was in with his win, so, or not his win, in on points. So you came down to one driver making it in if somebody didn't get in on points besides Truex. And that was Ty Gibbs in that spot because Chase Briscoe or Kyle Busch winning would put a new winner in the playoffs. So it came down to that Chase Briscoe and Kyle Busch. Just a brilliant, brilliant battle in the end. The last 10 laps between them. NBC did a great job showing mostly just on board from Kyle Busch, just the whole time. It was on board from him. You could see if he was gaining or losing. Brilliantly done. We didn't cut to wild shots. You had 1 second where they kind of showed it, cut away. Last turn they cut away, obviously, but for the most part, the last 10 laps were from Kyle Busch's car, and it was really, really cool to see just that viewpoint of the cars. So that was Darlington. So Chase Briscoe getting in. Just to touch on that, obviously seeing Stewart Haas car winning in the final year. That team is cool. Obviously, I've rooted for Stewart Haas for a long time. Stewart Haas, Joe Gibbs Racing kind of been the teams that I've rooted for throughout my life. Started when I was real little. Like I've always told the story, my 2 favorite drivers growing up being Kevin Harvick and Tony Stewart. Kevin Harvick was just one that I always just liked from the start. I mean, again, my profile picture on X, if you guys don't follow on there. If you're on X watching this video, make sure you follow. If you're on YouTube, head over and give me a follow on there. But again, that picture of me next to Kevin Harvick's car from 2001. So again, Kevin Harvick fan forever. And when I was, little, you kind of, and everybody does this if you're into racing as a child, you don't necessarily go on the driver. You go on a certain thing that you like. A lot of kids liked Kyle Busch. He had M&Ms, right? That type of thing. So I liked Tony Stewart because his car was orange, right? He had Home Depot. He had orange. Orange is my favorite color, if you can't tell by my bedroom wall. So it's one of those things that I always liked Tony Stewart. Obviously, he made his own team with June Haas together, made Stewart Haas Racing, so I liked him there. I mean, I got one of the cars in here is that 14 car. See it right there. So, always liked him. Of course, Kevin Harvick going over there, winning a championship, and, you know, all the success in the 4 cars. So, Stewart Haas Racing's been, again, one of the 2 teams I was rooted for. So, seeing that team obviously close is an emotional thing. You know, it's an emotional moment if it's something you've rooted for, you know, since it started in 2009, right? I've liked Stewart Haas Racing essentially since I was 10. So to see that go away, obviously I wrote an article about it, which you can check out on epiccw.net. But yeah, I wrote an article about that when it was announced. So seeing a driver in that team, seeing the 14 car, of course, one of their 2 main numbers, or 2 iconic numbers, the 4 and the 14 are the Stewart Haas primary 2 numbers. Seeing that 14 car win, make the playoffs is cool for that team in the final season. Of course, everybody working there, it's got to be difficult to know at the end of November you're out of a job. But you got to keep going until then and trying to win and be successful. So for them, it's really cool. Again, as a fan of Stewart Haas Racing, it's cool to see Chase Briscoe get that win. So, yeah, that's my thought on that specifically. So let's take a look at the playoffs and what we have coming up. So, the playoff grid, you have Kyle Larson with 2,040 points, Christopher Bell 2,032, Tyler Reddick 2,028, William Byron 2022, Ryan Blaney 2018, Benny Hamlin 2015, Chase Elliott 2014, Greg Kesselky 2008, Joey Logano 2007, Austin Cindric 2007, Daniel Suarez 2006, Alex Bowman 2005, Chase Briscoe 2005, Harrison Burton 2005, Ty Gibbs 2004, Martin Truex Jr. 2004. So those are the points standings and the situation that you have there for the playoffs. The schedule, I believe it's Atlanta, Watkins Glen, and Bristol. I believe, let me confirm, but I'm pretty sure. Atlanta, Watkins Glen, Bristol. So, right. Now, if you look at it purely just on who's going to advance, or who's not going to advance, right? Because that's kind of easy to do. I think Harrison Burton, I mean, he's 34th out of 34 full-time drivers. So I think him being out. I'd put Suarez. I'd put Cindric. And then I'd go between Briscoe and Bowman. Those are the 2 that I'd probably say out in the first round. I don't know who's actually higher in points before the playoff shakeup. Can we see that? We can. Hasn't been officially yeeted into the sun yet here on the app. Okay, so Bowman's not terrible. Bowman's actually higher in actual points than Joey Logano. So yeah, I'd probably say Chase Briscoe then. So we go Cindric, Suarez, Briscoe, Burton out in the first round on logic. But you got Atlanta, Watkins Glen, and Bristol. Now, Atlanta, obviously, pure chaos. It's essentially a super speedway. Anybody can win, anybody can get crashed. Watkins Glen, it's a road course. Takes a certain skill set, certain drivers that are good at it, certain drivers are not. And then Bristol, that's the most normal track, but it's also Bristol Night Race, which is pure chaos. So, anything is possible with the looks of the playoffs. But I'm gonna stick with those guys being eliminated. Second round, who would I take out? You have Kansas, Talladega, and Charlotte. Next four out, I would say Logano, Bowman, Keselowski, and I'd go Truex, honestly. I'd take those out. And then Las Vegas, you have around at 8, you have Las Vegas, Homestead, Martinsville. I would take out Gibbs, Elliott, Byron, and Blaney. So I would go with Larson, Bell, Reddick, and Hamlin for the championship. Phoenix, I would go with Kyle Larson to win it. So that's kind of where I'm leaning for my playoff predictions. So Kyle Larson wins the championship. That's the way I look at it. Again, predicting the playoffs is pure chaos. Going with the logic of who should be out, I think the way that I have it's pretty solid. I think, you could switch Truex and Gibbs in that spot of who would be eliminated around of 12 compared to 8. I think they're both very, very close. But I feel like the momentum for Truex is definitely not there as much. And I wouldn't say Gibbs has much momentum either, but I would say he's got a little bit more. Truex just had awful, awful runs. So that's kind of what I'd say, my prediction on that. So I think either one of those, 12 or 8. But that's that. That's my predictions for the playoffs. So hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys in the next one.